Hello there, and welcome once again to the Field of Streams, where I, your host, Janine McRae, bring you the tiny thoughts that stream from my brain and present them to you as though they're the finest couture, sewn with the silkiest of golden threads, and adorned with the wickedest glinty gemstones and shiny baubles you done ever seent. Bedazzling. Now, I can't promise you much with these fashionable nibbles, but I can promise you this: I won't keep you long. Today's missive was inspired by my brain at the very cusp of sleep, heading into some weird territory and just, running with it, I guess. That no man's land of where you're at the edge of awake and not awake. A thought just popped in, uninvited, about the full stop at the end of a sentence and how in its finality there's actually, what's the word? I know, possibility. That dot, signifying the end of a sentence, is actually the start of something great. Guys, stick with me here. I know it sounds a little kooky, but I'm getting there. I really was half dreaming because I started imagining myself falling into the abyss of that dot and how whatever you're writing can go anywhere from that simple point of punctuation. In my half sleep, I grabbed the phone next to my bed, opened notes, and did a voice note. I said, "The dot is not the end, it is the start." Now, I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't read that it had transcribed it correctly. I could see that it had written something else instead of the word dot in the first instance. So I spelled out D-O-T at the end and turned it off and went to sleep. Next morning when I read it back, it said, "The doctor is not the end." So not perfect, but I built off of that and ventured into territory of why do I, as an Australian, call it a full stop, and why do Americans call it a period? And what we got was this post. Basic premise: periods or full stops or whatever you call them, they're not just punctuation, they're the portal to possibility. And without any further waffling, here is the post, periodically yours for the making, full stop. What's the point? The period, the full stop go. It's the all sorts, sorted, blocked and ready. Time to get your composing stick out. You've got work to do. Some call it a full stop, some a period. It is a colonial bugbear, a how dare. Both are right, correct, true. Full stop or period, or full point or mark. It is the end of the affair, the thought, the positioning of the opinion, the exposition and the transition, the end, no more. Done. No, period, nuh-uh, full stop. Mind your P's and Q's, mind your B's and D's too. But lay out your letters in your wordy street, mind your step, and leap willingly into the open manhole of the period at the end of the lane. It is a portal to the next world, a tunnel to the underside, the underworld, the other side of the wilder ride, the next life of your story, paragraph, chapter, verse, or tome. The next. A period is a closed door, waiting to exhale its opening to the unknown, a dot with promise, a possibility yet to be unlocked, unhinged, unbarred. None shall pass. All may enter. It is not exclamatory nor interrogative. There are other marks more suited for that. It is clutching the clasped handbag of the declarative, the definitive, the pathway to conclusion. Open and shut. The stop, therefore, I go, and on, and on, and on. Shut the door, pause with hand on the brass of the enter, then twist to open and continue the journey. To where? Who knows? The point? All signs point to there. It is the full stop. It is the full go. All periods lead to exposition, even the buried ones, but only if you stop on the dot. Only if you step onto? The rounded void of this endless tunnel, the light a prick in the distance. Rest on the baseline with your foot on the pitch-nothing black of the end point, the spot, the speck, the jot. Yearn to kern if you must, but step with steady relish into the void of periodic possibility. Periodically. Period. See the light, the pinpoint. Hear the whistle blow. To assemble the blocks in the correct order and declare at the end that this is the end, but also the beginning. The message reads because the message reads, and always and always and always again, the point, the period, the final sucker punch to the paragraph. It is the typesetter's bony finger jab to the chest bone, leaving the ink of impression. This is done, the full point, the whole point, and nothing but the point. The point is, there is nothing more optimistic than a period. Nothing. Period. The half-empty glass only sees it as the end of something, the half full, the promise of what's to come. You won't know until you start typing, until you put the point of the pencil to paper and flow with the throb of a meandering cursive river, carving, slicing, eroding at the landscape of your story with its signature. The start, the middle, the full stop go. You press the end of your pen on a surface to make a mark, a single dot, ink bleeds, a full stop. This is how you end a sentence, periodus. Hope springs from finality. Only when something ends can something new begin. The next sentence, the next paragraph, the next phase in the flow of life. It is a knife, a slap, a closed door to the thought. The period, says the internal typesetter, is the point. A black hole in this verbose universe, pulling all toward the event horizon. Put your eye here. Rest for a moment on this, our journey through space. Allow your eye to take a breath, a lung full of imagination in your third eye inhale of this cosmos. Your eye is a dream, a hope, a pleasure cruise on a Milky Way of stars. The period, a ship to steer the float, tethered to the grammar of our punctuated planet. All points north, that's the point. A continuation on. 3 dots suggest a path to the delicious unknown. More to come. No more power than the tip of that pen, the tap of that key, the dot of that page, the period, the full stop. It is a whole shot clean through the bullseye of your intention. The point. Get to it. Always chase and keep the fingers moving on keys, or with your ink, or in your sky. Lead your creative horse to the full stop, the period, the watery oasis of exposition. Hydrate and move on. There is no question mark to it. What's the point? What is the point? What you make of it. What that dot can do. The point on which you plant your flag and sink your putt and shine your light into the night sky at the shy moon. The point is to keep it brief, and if not keeping it brief, to run on with pauses and steps and kicks of heels before sliding to a complete stop at the end of understanding. The point, the period, the full stop is a knife to the belly of ramble, a fatal stop in the tracks. But the story continues, if you want it to. Take your full measure and spread out your tail using all the marks, all the punctuation, all the swash and buckle and bleed. Final is a fallacy. Full stop. Period. Ask any editor until you go to press, until you reach roll end. Point blank. What's the point? Have we reached the breaking, the tipping, the boiling? It's easy to see the end of the line as being just that, the end of the line. This was the goal. You have reached it. Put down your tools, your implements, your bindle. But the work doesn't stop when the dot does. The period is a period of breath, of rest, of preparing to launch to the next end of sentence, the end of time. Block by block, line by line, manhole to manhole, we must join the dots and make a world. Now you've got a point. Use it. And there you have it, this week's episode. I hope you'll come back for more. These little missives are designed to inspire creative folk to get out and make something of their own. If you do enjoy my writing, please be sure to subscribe to the Stream newsletter at janinemccrae.substack.com. And until next we meet, love what you love, and I'll see you out there making stuff.